Right, portfolio update, and I've hit two major milestones that I want to cover that have really blown me away. Can't believe them. First of all, obviously, I've hit 160k here, as you can see. That is as a result of, over the course of the last year, 27% up. Now, it is slightly skewed somewhat, given the fact that the prior month, aka April 2025, the market actually dropped by circa 15% because of tariff business. So if you were to go a little bit further out, it wouldn't quite reflect the same numbers. However, in 1 year, by staying consistent, I'm 27% up, which is the 33% gain. That is nearly the UK national average salary I've made in my portfolio just by holding it over the course of the last 12 months. Now, I did get really lucky, so there's a couple of points here. You'll notice April, beginning of April, in the last financial year, April 2025, the market plummeted because of those tariffs, and it was when I got a lump sum from my redundancy and I threw 15k in. That then flew up, so that's really massively impacted my gains. The other part is this dip here at the end, 1st of April, right at the end of the year. I still had to max out my ISA. I had to scramble around, find some money, and I did do exactly that. You can see just the jump there. Of course, that then meant that I picked up this massive drop. I wasn't trying to time the market, but over the course of the last 13 months or so, I have amazingly timed the market with my deposits. That was not my intention, and I don't want people to think that's something that you can replicate. So from April last year, I was at 106, and now I'm at 160. £54,000 up. That includes my deposits and my gains, of course, but therefore the portfolio has grown by a third. It's increased by a third. If it did that every year, I'd be happy. So 1 year view, 27% up. Year to date, we're 5.1% up, £7,700. That's despite all of this volatility. You can see it all. It's up and down all over the gaff. Where is it? There we go. All up and down. There's my deposit at the end of the last year. 3 month view is very similar to year to date, given we're in May. 5% up. 1 month view, 6.8% up. £10,000 in 1 month. It's gone up £10,000 again. If it did that every month, I'd take it. 1 week up 1.5, and just today it's up 0.1, which is taking me into that magical £160,000 number, which blows me away. I never thought I'd ever get to that. The second major change that's happened is as a result of that. I did some calculations the other day. Let me show you. So if you use a compound interest calculator and type in what my portfolio is at now, £160,000. Now I'm going to assume a 9% gain. I don't know whether it's going to do that or not, but that's what I'm going to assume. You can take it or leave it. Now, between now and my private pension age, 57, I'm 43 now, that's 14 years. So if I get that 160k in here, 9% return, and just leave it for 14 years, I'm going to end up with £560,000. That means at private pension age, I'll have £560,000, which is my financial independence number. Now, on top of that, I've got a private pension, which is going to be worth around £700,000. That therefore means I'm sitting on 1.3 million pounds at 57. I have therefore reached something called CoastFIRE. What CoastFIRE basically means is you get your portfolio to a point that means you no longer need to deposit anything into it, and assuming the market continues to return, you're going to be able to retire at private pension age. I don't have to put another penny into this, and I'll have nearly 1.3 million pounds at 57 years old. Again, I've never even believed I'd ever get to any sort of position like this. It blows me away. However, I don't want to retire at 57. I want to be able to retire at 50. And for me, people that have seen me before, I'm a full-time content creator now. It's no longer around not doing work. It's more around reaching a number, which means I don't have to do work. And that's what I want to get to by the time I'm 50. I'm desperate to get there. I'm desperate for that security blanket because of my background. Watch previous videos. My history of what I've gone through. I'm terrified of losing. I'm still terrified now of losing everything and ending up sleeping on the floor of my sister's dining room. I don't want to go back to that. As grateful as I was that she put me up, I'm desperate to never go back to that, which means I'm desperate to get to that number, which means I'm desperate to get to £540,000 in my stocks and shares ISA. I'm at 160, so we've still got some way to go. So back into the portfolio, and let's cover the position. So my largest, oh my God, it's just gone over 100k. I've never seen that before. So my largest is the Invesco FTSE All World, the distribution version, FTWG. I just love them dividends. That's why I hold it. That has just gone over 100k. I'm amazed at that. I'm so pleased to be able to see that. Could drop tomorrow, of course. I'm going to screenshot that. I'm going to do it now while we're watching. Boom. Gotcha. So 100k, and I always wanted to get my all world over 100k, and I wanted to over the last 18 months very aggressively go after my all worlds. That's where I feel comfortable having the majority of my money. Now that mixed with my S&P 500, my Vanguard S&P 500, I got 41k in there. Means I got 140 of 160 into two big funds. The rest is some individual businesses, which we'll go over. Is a duplication as a result of doing that? Yes. If I was just in the Invesco world, I'd be 62% into the US. Having the Invesco world and the S&P 500 were 40k in, it means I'm closer to 80% into the US. Now, that is duplication, and there is risk associated with that. And you go online and Google it, and most people will say it's not the right thing to do. But I've done it for 6 years, and holding the S&P 500 means I've got 42% in there as a gain. Now, what I'm not going to do is continue to increase my position into the S&P 500. I'm focusing more on my all world, but I like having both. And personal finance is exactly that at the end of the day. If you're keeping sensible, diversified funds and you're doing it for decades, I personally think it doesn't necessarily matter if you've got a bit of duplication in there. You've got double exposure to the same thing, yes, but that means you're going to win twice if it wins. You'll lose twice if it loses, of course. Comfortable for me. Right, Realty Income, let's go over that. So both of them are distribution, by the way. So Realty Income, let's go over that. I've got £3,824 in here. It is down 1.9%, but when we look at it over the course of last year, it's up by 12%. People are moving a little bit more into this. I've said it a million times. The reason I want to do this is it gives me exposure to monthly income within property. I know it's US property, so I'm overexposed again, but I'm comfortable with it. Monthly dividend comes in, and it comes in at about £13 a month, which means I've done some maths. Over the course of the last 5 years that I've held this, every single year it's given me around £156 back. Over 5 years, that's £780. Yes, I've reinvested it back into the business, but that £780 is on top of that reduction in the share price, if you like. And given it's a smaller position, £3,800, it's actually quite a bit of a return. Right, just before I move on to the other positions, if you haven't already got a Trading 2 and 2 Stocks and Shares ISA, there's a link in my bio. If you use that, download it. It's really straightforward and easy to do. You've done in minutes. It's one of the easiest ones. And deposit £1, you'll get a free fractional share as a result of doing so. It's worth anywhere between £10 and £100. Most, that was a bit of a lisp, other of them are around £13, £14, but I've known people get 60, 70, £80 worth of free shares, fractional shares, as a result of doing that. You can also use promo code Neil if you've signed up in the last 10 days, and you'll still get it. I'll get a small kickback as a result too. Lloyds Bank next, 93% up. It is down a little bit over the course of the last 3 months, 13% down, but over the year it's 38% up. Lloyds is doing well. All UK banks are doing well because inflation is because interest rates are higher. Now, because the interest rates are higher, banks make a little bit more money. Over the last 3 months, it is a little bit down. And just yesterday, there was an internal sell-off. Christian Barrow, CEO of Pensions, sold £500,000 worth. That made the investor news. But if you Google Lloyd's share price this morning, press news, you will see 50% of people saying this is the best time to buy Lloyd's. It's going to fly from here. And you'll see 50% of people, analysts, saying it's only going to go down from here. I'm comfortable with it. I'm going to continue to hold it. I like that business. Biannual dividend, pays twice a year, gives me a kickback of around 3.76%. So just something I wanted to add. We are 5.1% up year to date in the portfolio. At the beginning of the year, Goldman Sachs predicted that the market would return over 2026, 12%. Now, often they get it wrong. We're into May now, and it's 5.1% up. So we're nearly halfway there. If we do get a 12% return over the course of 2026, I'd snatch your hand off right now. I would take that all day long, especially given the gains we've had over the last couple of years. 12% return on 160k portfolio. That's a lot of bloody money again. I'll take it. Next one is Legal and General. Legal and General, I'm just about break even on. But the important thing from Legal and General for me is it pays a 9.5% dividend. It's the biannual dividend that comes from Legal and General. So you get two payments. So what have I got? I've got 3,600, 700 in here. So I get 9% of that paid back to me in two payments over the course of the year. Earnings were out recently and we saw a 9% earnings per share growth, which is really good. And also the big news was a £1.2 billion buyback scheme. So for anyone that doesn't know, when a business buys shares back from the market, they do exactly that. They go into the market, they buy their own shares back. Now, what does that mean? It means there's less shares on the market for that business. That, if the business continues to maintain its momentum, means that the shares that you own become worth more. So buybacks are a really good thing, and it's good to see from Legal and General that that's the case. Break even on it, but I'm not concerned. Aviva, 32% up. Over the course of the last 3 months, down a little bit. Over the course of the last year, 10% up. 10% gain in the UK business over a year. I'll take it all day long. Aviva is a biannual dividend paying business. The rate comes in at 6.3%. So not only am I 30% up within that, but I'm also going to get a 6.3% dividend split into 2 payments over the course of the year. Invested straight back into that business. A small position, £2,900, but one that is close to my heart. I did a piece of research work in 2000 and I got paid £500 for it, and I took that £500 and I invested it into Aviva, and that with a few other deposits, mainly that £500 is all I've put into Aviva. And now you say, well, what, it's only 32% up, how's that the case? Because I bought it in Hargreaves Lansdown and it saw really good returns for a couple of years. I sold it in Hargreaves Lansdown and moved it across into trading 2&2. So when you sell a position in one broker, you could have a £10 position in there. Say it doubles, it goes to £20, you're 100% up. But then when you sell that and move it across into a new broker, you're bringing £20 into it, you've doubled your money, but as soon as you buy that position again, it's going to show a 0% gain. So that's how that works. Now, Aviva did have an amazing 2025, great numbers all over the place, but it's one of those ones where the market is irrational and these things happen. So what can happen with the business is it's going to do great numbers. It can be delivering against all the things it said it was going to deliver against, but the sentiment might not be there. Or there might be other reasons underlying why people don't like it, or they might not like the fact that it's a UK insurance-based business, or whatever it may be. So because the market's irrational, you've got to ignore some of this stuff sometimes. You see it a lot with big US tech businesses when they get to earnings. They can smash their expected earnings and expected EPS and all sorts of stuff, but they can still potentially drop as a result because the sentiment was, well, we expected you to smash it by even more. It's completely wild. Unilever next. Unilever has struggled over the course of last year, 20% down. Now, it's a consumer-based business, so consumer products. And consumer products has been struggling recently because of inflation, because of the cost of goods. Right? Usually when we're going through tough times, consumer-based products businesses do well because everyone still continues to need to buy deodorant and shampoo and toothpaste and food and drink and stuff. Coke always does well during times of depression. But it's not the case at the moment because the times we're struggling for at the moment is because of inflation. Now that means cost of goods are up, which means it's more expensive to make these products, which compresses margin, which makes it difficult to increase prices, which makes it difficult to increase the margin. And that means that Unilever has struggled. I'm 4%, 5% down in this business. It's a biannual dividend payer, comes in at 3.99%. If I had started investing again today, I'm not sure whether I'll buy it. What it does give me is it gives me exposure into consumer products within the UK. It's a UK business, got global exposure. It's been around for years. It's got a history and a track record of delivering. So I don't know. I'll continue to hold it for the time being. iShares Physical Gold. I only bought this like an idiot. I've only got £100 in here, just about break even. I bought it basically to keep track of the price of gold, so I didn't have to search it. I just wanted to keep track of it because I got physical gold and I wanted to see what it was doing because it fascinated me, the growth over the course of the last couple of years. Now, 1 year in, 1 year back, it is still 40% up over the course of the last year. Look at the max view. It looks like a bloody Nvidia stock, doesn't it? It's ridiculous. It has absolutely flown. We're not going to see years like the last couple of years all the time. And one of the things with gold is that when we have these spectacular growths, we've had one now. We haven't had one like this since the 70s. What it does is it pulls up the average returns. So people will be quoting to you, yeah, but gold over the course of the last 30 years has averaged 10% per year. Yeah, but that's because it's had those spectacular couple of years here and there. It is not necessarily an average 9 to 10% returner. It's an average 2 to 3 to 4% returner, and the odd time it absolutely explodes. Now, of course, you've got to be in it in order to be able to take advantage of those increases. But I'm not sure whether, for me personally, it's to take up a significant part of my portfolio. I do have some physical gold, a couple of grand's worth. It's not anything that I'm going to be increasing against. I just like having it. Going forward, what do we expect from it? I don't know. The times are so uncertain at the moment that we could see another year. Yeah, scrap it. We could see another year where it goes at 50%. I don't necessarily expect it will, but there we go. So on the day, everything's pretty much green apart from Realty Income and the other one that I can't talk about. Listen, while I've got you, I want to ask you a favour. Is there anyone in Derbyshire? This is random. Using my YouTube channel for this. I've just stopped this recording. Is there anyone in Derbyshire that is selling a greenhouse? Right, I want a second-hand glass and aluminium framed greenhouse. I'm completely off topic here. The last 2 months, I'm redoing my garden now, and I want a greenhouse. I've always wanted a greenhouse, but I'm not prepared to pay full price for it. It's hundreds of pounds. I'm not prepared to buy a polycarbonate one because they're crap. I'm not prepared to get one from Timo because they're crap. I just want a glass and aluminium framed 8x6 greenhouse. If you're in Derbyshire and you're selling one second hand, let me know. I'll come around. I'll take it apart. We can have a cup of tea. Whatever. Sorry about that. No one's gonna. Everyone will have turned off by now. But let me know if you are. Thank you for watching. I know I missed the entirety of April. I've got my second video lined up, so hopefully we'll get another one out again soon. Take care.